Hello, everybody. Welcome to iBUG Buzz number 673. Today is Monday, February 24th, 2025. My name is Pete Lane, and I'll be facilitating our program tonight. Just a little word about February 24th, by the way. February 24th is National Tortilla Chip Day, so do with that what you want. You can have dinner when we're done. For those of you who are not familiar with the iBUG Buzz, it's a forum that's done every week where we encourage folks to call in with questions or issues relating to their iOS devices. These devices include iPads, iPhones, Apple TVs, Apple Watches, and HomePods. We also will address any questions that you might have regarding accessories to those devices, such as keyboards, braille displays, headphones, Bluetooth speakers, things along those lines. And we encourage everyone to learn the accessibility features in iOS, particularly VoiceOver, which is what we focus on predominantly here in the iBUG Buzz. I want to thank all of you who have joined us live tonight on our Zoom platform, and for those of you who may be listening via one of our podcast recordings. We have many of them. Anything you might want to know about iBUG, its events, its calendar, how to get on our mailing list, things like that, go to our website. That is ibugtoday.org. That's ibugtoday.org. We are on Twitter, X. We are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And I want to say a little bit about the YouTube channel. iBUG Today is our YouTube channel. All of our technical training sessions are recorded and are kept in an archive on the iBUG Today YouTube channel as a playlist. So go over there if you want to hear some recordings. There's a world of information that you can pick up and play it back at your leisure. A little bit about our upcoming calendar. Just a few events coming up this week. Just a reminder, by the way, we have 25 events. Count them, 25 of them every single month among our training events and social activities. Tonight, we're in the iBUG Buzz, which will be running from 7 until 9 p.m. Central Time, and all of these times will be in the Central Time Zone. At the halfway point, we will invite our iBUG guy in to give us some clues as to what our movie might be this coming Friday night. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. At the end of tonight's iBUG Buzz at 9 p.m. Central Time, we will transition, turn off the recording, and switch to our relaxed and casual mode in the iBUG After Buzz. Anyone who wishes to stick around and just shoot the breeze, chat with some fellow iBUG members about anything and everything except the technology that we talk about here in the Buzz. That will happen from 9 o'clock until 11 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Come on in, relax, kick back, grab your favorite beverage, and enjoy a chat with your fellow iBUG members. Tomorrow night, from 5 until 6 p.m. on Tuesday, February 25th, we will have our iBUG Mini Buzz. Now, this is a program with a new face and new content. You can talk about anything and everything relating to hardware that connects with your iOS or your Apple devices. Things like the Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses, smart speakers, virtual assistants, any other home kit components that you might have around the house. Come on in. This is your opportunity to talk about those, particularly those Meta smart glasses. Everybody's got questions on those. Later tomorrow night, from 7 until 9 p.m., we have our Mac and Talk. Guess what it's about? You got it. Anything and everything relating to a Mac. Should you buy one? What would the transition be like from Windows to Mac? Do you have questions or problems with your Mac? Well, that's your opportunity. Come on in. There are quite a few really, really strong technical gurus in that chat. So bring in any and all questions relating to your Mac. Later in the week on Thursday night, we have It's iBUG's Life. Thursday night, February 27th, again from 7 until 9 p.m. The theme for Thursday's program will be We Didn't Start the Fire, but we're darn sure going to try to put it out. These are tips and tricks relating to fire prevention around the house. And then coming up on Friday night, we have our iBUG virtual night at the movies. Pre-movie activities start at 7:15 Central Time. Movie begins at 8 p.m. Central Time. This is a audio described movie. No video, just audio track and audio description track of what promises to be an outstanding movie. Last week, just to give you a perspective, we showed Conclave, a huge movie that was absolutely dynamite. I think we'll probably see something that's current and relevant this coming Friday, so be sure to tune in. Pre-movie activities include Name That Tune, all kinds of fun, argle-bargle, jokes, and then we get started at 8 p.m. Central Time. Then we'll have a discussion and comments about the movie, followed by movie trivia. Yes, Sandhya, go right ahead.
Quick, actually, we have the iBUG Unplugged, and we're going to have a really cool topic. It's going to talk about meditation, and we have a very cool host for that event, so come check it out. Be looking for the information on that event. That will be from 7 to 9 on Saturday.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. This looks like a really fun event. All right, so now we're going to go around the horn, and we'd like to allow everybody an opportunity to say hi, tell us your name, where you're calling from, and if you happen to be a brand new iBUG member where this is your first event, be sure to let us know that as well. I'll start us off. I'm Pete, and I'm from Florida.
Mark from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and I'm an old-timer.
Hello, welcome back, Mark. Good to hear you.
Thanks, Pete.
Robert with All Thumbs from Chandler, Arizona.
Welcome, Robert.
Joe from Ontario, Canada.
Hello, Joe.
Gary in Austin.
Gary, I got you. Hey, welcome from Austin. Who else was that?
Ed from Georgetown, Ontario.
Welcome, Ed.
Aline from Arizona.
Hello, Aline.
Deb from Kansas.
Hi, Deb.
Hi, Pete.
Liz, Fort Worth.
Welcome, Liz.
This is Ned from Texas.
Hello, Ned.
Dan from Southern California.
Hey, Dan.
Raheel, upstate.
Hey, Raheel, upstate New York. And who else?
How you doing?
Dawn from Houston.
Welcome, Dawn.
Terry from Arlington Heights, Illinois.
Welcome, Terry.
Paul Columbus.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, Pete.
Hey, Julie, you made it. Welcome.
Jody from New Hampshire.
Hey, Jody.
Hi, Pete.
Linda from Texas.
Hi, Linda.
Hi.
Leslie from Arizona.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you.
John
Who
from
else?
BC, Canada.
Hello, John. Welcome.
Tim in Indiana.
Hi, Tim.
And Vanessa, Georgia.
Vanessa, welcome.
Thank you.
Vincent
Gloria from Houston.
I got Gloria from Houston. Houston. Who else was that, please?
Vincent in New Jersey.
Hello, Vincent from New Jersey. Who else?
Thomas in Colorado.
Welcome, Thomas. Anyone else?
Sandhya in Houston.
Hello, Sandhya. Anybody else like to say hi? All right, thank you all, and we'll have another opportunity at the top of the hour to chime in. Well, right now, let's review some of the rules of the game here. We do not use the raise hand feature in Zoom. Instead, we just clearly state our name and wait for me to acknowledge you. Try not to interrupt anybody who's in the midst of asking their question. We want to keep this thing moving, so try to limit your questions, be very brief, kind of rehearse in your mind maybe before you ask them so you can come in and state your question clearly and succinctly. And if there's a run on questions, we may limit you guys to maybe 2 questions per hour. We've got a couple of hours ahead of us. That should give you ample opportunity. So with that said, let's get started. Who would like to hit us up with your first question?
Robert, you said I was going to be first.
You are first. Hello, Robert. What do you have?
All right. I've gotten, I'm trying to learn how to play with the rotor. So, I got some text messages that refer me to a link. I know I give the twist turn and get the rotor to where it will say links. And then what do I do?
All righty. You're on the links action on the rotor. What do you do next? Who can help Robert with that?
Raheel?
Yes, Raheel.
So when you turn your rotor to links, when it says links, you swipe down until you hear voiceover say HTTP or whatever the link is, and then you double tap to open it. That's what you do.
Okay, so it's here links, you do a swipe down, then you listen for the link and double tap. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
You got it.
Welcome.
Good job, Raheel. Thank you very much. And go, Robert. That should
How
get
did
you
I do
going.
with that? I did good, right, Pete?
You did fine, Raheel.
You did great, Raheel.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good New Yorker.
Yeah. Who else has a question for us? We're on a roll.
Liz?
Liz, go ahead.
I have not been able to find the answer to this one. I'm hoping somebody knows something I couldn't find. I have a lot of emails in my draft folder, and I want to move them to other folders, like the ones for recipes to the recipe folder, etc. But I can't find a way to do it from drafts.
Okay. All right. What have you tried? Sounds like you tried something and come up empty. What have you tried so far, Liz?
I've swiped everything from the draft folder and come up with nothing. When you're in the inbox, it's easy. You go to more, and then you go move email, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But there is nothing like that from the draft folder.
Anybody have an answer for Liz on that? Having a little difficulty moving emails out of the draft folder.
It's Deb.
Yeah, Deb.
So, Liz, if you double tap on the message and open the message, down at the bottom, you should see that toolbar that says more actions, and there's a move down there. Well, actually, you double tap where it says more actions, and that you'll bring up that context menu that has reply all. There's a move in that, and then you just double tap on that, and it'll ask you where you want to move it to. And if you're moving it to the inbox, then you tap that.
Thank you, Deb. I think Liz said that she tried that. You're actually swiping up and down on the message as it's in the drafts folder, right, Liz? And you're getting to the more button and double tapping, but there's no option to move it. Is that what you're running into?
Right. And I just opened my drafts folder, and down at the bottom, there is nothing. It's just like the draft folder is a dead zone. I don't know.
You don't have that toolbar down there with the move and delete and send to trash and all of that you normally would see at the bottom of your inbox or one of the other folders, right?
Correct.
So she's familiar with the mechanics of it, Deb, but just doesn't seem to work in the drafts folder. Who else has a thought?
This is Ed. Oh, okay, go ahead.
I heard Desi. Let's go Desi and then Ed.
Well, I don't know for sure, but my impression is that when you're in the draft folder, that really is a draft folder for like writing an email. And when you get your draft finished, you can send it from there. But I don't think you're necessarily supposed to be able to move your messages from draft folders to another folder.
Desi, I think you hit it right on the head there. Good job. Liz, I think that's right. Anybody have any other thoughts on that?
This is Ed.
Yeah, Ed, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. It's an incomplete email.
Right.
So you either delete it because it's incomplete, or you complete it, and then you can send it or whatever.
And then when it's in another folder, if it gets in another folder, then you can do the move button. Right?
Yeah, and I know that you can, once you complete it, you move to the left and it'll tell you what you can do with it, like to send or whatever. But I'm not sure if you can, I guess you can save it from there, but I've always just sent them once they're complete.
Yeah, there's no complete button in the drafts folder. You've got to either send it or leave it as a draft.
Oh, okay. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, Vincent, go ahead.
Just a thought, but I think that you're right. I don't think that you can do anything when mail messages in draft, but you may try to go to edit, select all, and then copy. But then you would have to create either a note or something different, because you cannot save a draft to anything. I mean, you can probably save the copy the text, but you have to copy it into something. You cannot copy it into inbox or into sent or into archive or into anything.
Yeah, I think notes would be your best option. Otherwise, it would be an incomplete.
This is Jody.
This is Marty.
Yes, Jody.
Okay.
Oh, I think Marty was first. Okay.
No, go, Jody.
Well, I think a workaround would be to send the message to yourself, and then from your inbox, then you could put it in whatever folder you want.
Good point. That's what I do. What do you got, Marty?
That was the same thing. Yeah. Jody just said it.
Yeah, we're going to move on. Liz, just to summarize this, you can't do anything as long as it's in a draft form. It's incomplete. So go ahead and send it. If you want to send it to someone else, that's cool. Send it to yourself. It'll then be in your inbox. Then you can move it to another topical account. All right. Hope that helps, Liz. Who else has got a question? Let's move on to a whole new topic.
This is Desi.
Yes, Desi.
I am having a weird problem with my HomePods. I have the large ones, the newest large ones, and I have two of them, and I have them in a stereo pair. And I used to be able to do this thing, but now if I ask Iris to play an album by a certain artist, it will play the title song of the album, but it won't play the album.
So you want it to play the entire album. Any thoughts on that? Desi's trying to get her new stereo, brand new HomePods.
Well, they're not brand new. I mean, I've had them for several months.
Who can help Desi with that? Can't get the album to play in full.
Like I wanted to listen to a Judy Collins album called Shameless, and I said, "Hey Iris, play the album Shameless by Judy Collins." And she said, "Here's the album, or here's Shameless by Judy Collins," and she just played the one song. And I did this several different times with different albums and stuff, because then I was kind of intrigued as to why this was not working when it always used to.
And it didn't even play The Fallow Way.
No.
My goodness.
Well, I didn't ask it to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you've got your own recording of that.
Exactly.
Any thoughts on how to get it to play the full album in the HomePods? I would imagine it's probably similar to AirPods Pro possibly, or other Bluetooth devices. Any thoughts?
Well, like
from
I said,
anybody?
I used to be able to do this. So I don't know if with the latest update something has changed, or if there's some other thing I'm supposed to be doing, but I haven't been able to figure it out.
Let's see who's got a thought. Does anybody have a... Yes, go ahead.
Could she just say, play this album, give the command and say, play this album, and then it would go into the album because it's already into that album, because that's where that cut comes from.
Once it's on that first cut, you mean?
Whatever song she asked to play,
right?
Just simply say, play this album, and then it would start that album from the beginning.
Once you're already underway, in other words. What do you think, Desi? Have you tried that?
I have not tried that. It might work. I'm not going to say it won't until I do it. So,
well, let's see if there's any other ideas out there. Any thoughts from anyone else? And thank you, Ned.
Yeah, thanks, Ned.
Looks like that's what you're going on, Desi.
I guess so.
Wish you luck. Come on back next week and fill us in how it went.
All right, I will.
Thank you very much. All right, who's got a fresh question?
Mark in Montreal.
Go ahead, Mark.
Pete, you're a broadcaster. You've done podcasts in the past and everything, and you know I have broadcasting experience, so I'm a stickler for music that's tight. And Pete would understand what that means, meaning one song ends and the next song starts. Mm-hmm. In Apple Music, the only thing I am able to do is do the fade in, fade out option, which really sucks because you miss a portion of the previous song and a portion of the next song. Have they worked on that at all to make it continuous, to make one song end and the other one start immediately? Or is that still something that Apple hasn't realized that maybe they should do? Does anybody...
So you're not necessarily looking for a fading, you just want a continuous back-to-back, one after the other.
Exactly.
Has anybody achieved that, tried it, or played with it at all in Apple Music? Anybody tried that? There's always a pause in between, even if you can work the fading. That's a shame.
And it's bloody annoying because it's like 7 seconds of dead air sometimes. And dead air is a cardinal sin, right?
Absolutely. A complete waste of time.
Yeah, exactly.
You got better things to do than listen to dead air.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry, Mark. Coming up empty on that one.
All right.
Good luck with that. Let us know if you find a solution yourself.
We can always hope for updates, and maybe someday one of the Apple geeks will get it right.
Yeah, a new feature. That would be great. All right. Thank you, Mark. Let's move on. Who's got a fresh new question?
This is Ed.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just when I'm in a Zoom meeting and I'm in the muted position, and I want to say something eventually, and I go to push mute, and I push it, and I'm out in the rhubarb somewhere, not on the mute button, but it's skipped over 5 or 6 spaces or whatever you call them. Is there any way of stopping it from doing that, like locking it on the mute and it's staying there?
Well, clarify again for me. Are you you're sitting on the mute button and all of a sudden it's in a different spot, or what are you doing?
Keyboard. I'm on a keyboard.
On a Bluetooth keyboard, right?
Yeah.
And it's just jumping to another button?
Yeah, it'll just jump over, and then when it comes back in, it'll be somebody's
profile or something.
Somebody's profile, and then you have to tag over 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 positions before you get back to mute.
I don't know if there's any way to keep VoiceOver from jumping around. I'm not sure the Bluetooth keyboard is any different than the on-screen interface. Anybody have any solutions for locking the screen, the Zoom screen specifically, to the mute and unmute button?
This is Thomas in Colorado.
All right, Thomas.
So here's what I do with my iPhone. If you lock the screen, and on the keyboard, let's say you hit the backspace or whatever, any key on the keyboard, it brings up some options. And one of the options is mute and unmute. You can arrow over to it and then do the command to activate that. That's how I do it on my iPhone. So I leave the screen locked so that there's not all the other stuff on the screen, and then just arrow over to the mute and then hit the unmute button.
Okay. Run us through that sequence one more time, if you don't mind, Thomas. Sounds like a good one. So you get to the mute button and then you lock the phone?
Well, first, when I first come to the meeting and I got it all set up, then I lock my screen.
Okay.
And if I want to say something, I hit any key on the keyboard and VoiceOver will start talking. Then as if you were swiping over it, but on the keyboard, you use the command to go over on the keyboard. And one of the options is mute, and it says selected mute. And then if you activate that, it unmutes it, and then you can mute it as soon as you're done.
Okay. So you think locking the phone kind of keeps it stabilized?
Right. It limits your options that are available to you, but one of them is mute.
All right.
This is Ed.
Yeah, Ed.
What is the finger action for locking your screen and unlocking it?
That would be the side button, I'm assuming, Thomas?
Yeah, depending on what you're using, a side button or the...
2022, an SE.
Yeah, I think it's a side button to lock your phone. Yeah.
So and you lock it. And then once you touch the key on the keyboard, it doesn't unlock the screen, but it gives you the options, and one of them is mute.
Okay.
All right, Ed, try that. Shot. Yeah, maybe a little different approach. Thank you, Thomas. All right, thanks, Ed. Yes, John, go right ahead.
Clarification question for him. Do you want your screen locked when you mute and unmute, or do you want it unlocked?
That was for Thomas?
Yes.
Thomas?
I prefer mine to be locked.
Oh, this is John.
Yes, John.
Oh, okay. No, because I was going to suggest something in the instance of it being unlocked. So having said that, I withdraw my suggestion.
Okay. All right.
Fine. Thanks.
Okay. All right.
Linda?
Thank you. Yes, Linda, go right ahead.
I've noticed lately on these Zoom calls, I'll be muted And then a few minutes later, it'll come on and say, you are now muted. And I thought I was muted. And that's happened several weeks now on this Zoom call. Is anybody else having that?
So you're muted, you're sure you're muted, and then all of a sudden you hear VoiceOver repeat that or reiterate that.
Yes, that you are now muted.
I don't know. My Mac does that too. Are you on a computer or on your phone?
I'm on my phone.
Yeah, I think it's just VoiceOver randomly telling you what position you're in. If it was on a different button, it would probably say that other button.
This is Paul.
I don't think it's telling you that a new action has taken place. Go ahead, Paul. What do you got?
Yeah, that has happened to me multiple times, and it seems to be when I'm like talking to somebody else in the room when I'm on mute, but making noise otherwise. Might be a trigger in the Zoom app.
Could be, right.
This is Ned.
I just chalk it off to Sandhya being there on the mute button. That's our. I'm sorry. Who was that?
This is Ned.
Yes, Ned.
Yes, it has happened to me where I'm muted, and then I'm sitting here quietly, and it'll say, the host has muted you. And it's like, what have I done?
Well,
so it's happened to me. So
actually, that's a little bit different situation, to be honest with you, Ned. That is actually the host muting you. That's an affirmative action taken by the host. Now, it's not always Sandhya. If she had her way, it might be. But
okay.
if we hear noise in the background, you'll often hear us when there's noise from somewhere else, like there's a TV going or somebody's voiceover or JAWS is running in the background, and we say, please silence your JAWS or quiet your TV. We got some background noise, and it doesn't quiet. Then one of the hosts, in this case, it might be Sandhya, and it might be me, or it might be Julie, who's a host. They will go to a list in our Zoom screen and see who is unmuted, and then take the action to mute you, just to be sure that we're catching the person who's, just in case you're the person who's guilty.
This is Terry.
Nothing personal. Yes, Terry.
I've been unmuted for on purpose, and within a few seconds, it'll come and say the host has muted you, when maybe the host never did, but for some reason that has happened. And ever since I upgraded to iOS 18.3, I think that's where we are now, whatever the latest update is.
Yeah, 3.1.
I've often had, when I go to mute myself, about, a minute later, my screen reader voice will come in and say, you're muted. Mm-hmm. So it's a thing for me with this particular update. It doesn't seem to happen with other, when I'm using other settings in Zoom, but just that one.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Ed.
I've had that happen to me, but what it says is, it tells me to tap to unmute, and it'll say tips. So it's a note coming from tips. It says muted, tap to unmute, and it'll say tips.
This is Marie.
Yes, Marie, how are you?
Just a heads up. Sometimes if you have a headset that you can mute the headset itself, it may not show up on the Zoom call as you are muted, even though you have your device muted. So sometimes the host will think you're unmuted and they will mute you on the call.
Okay. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Terry Ann. All right. Let's move on to a new subject. Who would like to ask a question?
This is Tim in Indiana.
Hello, Jim. Tim, sorry.
Yes, I have an Apple TV question, if I may ask.
You may. Mm-hmm.
I have an Apple TV HD, the 1080p one, and I'm running the tvOS that's either current or the penultimate version. But I don't think it's a tvOS question, because this problem has lingered ever since I started using it. But the issue or question I have is, how can I turn on audio description in the PBS app? Because I have VoiceOver turned on and I have the audio descriptions turned on in the tvOS settings, and I get the audio descriptions in the Apple TV Plus streaming service and Netflix and Amazon Prime, but I've never gotten them to work in the PBS.
Public Broadcasting System. Anybody else experience that with the PBS app specifically? Any problems with audio description on PBS? Does it not offer it? Period? Is that a possibility? I would hate to think so.
Well, that's part of my question. I don't know. I have yet to find any settings explicitly for the PBS app or anything else. And I know that some apps, like the Netflix app, if you go and hit the scroll wheel this way or that way, it gives you a menu for doing this or that. But I don't know of any way to do anything like that with the PBS app.
Interesting.
John.
Yes, John.
So unfortunately, I can't speak to the PBS app, but speaking more generally, typically what happens is there are different ways in which you can activate the audio description, one of which is if the app has a settings menu, or the other option is if you play your content, sometimes within the playback settings menu, when you go under, it'll be like, I don't know, language or audio settings, and there may be an option to choose audio description. So unfortunately, I don't have a definite answer for you, but there are a few guesses you can try.
All right, John. Yeah, not living in the States, you wouldn't be experiencing the PBS app.
Well, that would be, this is Tim again, that would be of how do I get to the settings app within the PBS app, or the settings pane within the PBS app.
Not having experienced the PBS app specifically, John, do you have any thoughts on where you might look?
This is John.
Yes, John.
Unfortunately, I don't know. My apologies.
Yeah, unless there's tabs at the bottom, Tim, and it sounds like you would be well aware of the routine
This is Marty.
Locations. Go ahead, Marty.
Some of the streaming apps, if you double click where it says video and it says double tap for controls, if you double tap and you go you bypass the pause and forward 10 seconds and all that, and then you might see audio and subtitles. And then you have to go in that, and you may, and if you don't find it there, then it might just not be available for that particular show.
Yeah. Thank you, Marty. Tim, is it set up in a similar layout to perhaps Netflix or Amazon Prime, where you have the video, and if you double tap on the video, it opens up the controls? You then have your playback progress and your reverse 10 seconds, advanced 10 seconds, and then you've got your audio options and video options.
Try and get back with you on that.
Yeah, give it a shot. It might lay out the audio and video options where there's audio description, video captions, things along those lines. Maybe it's in there.
This is Jody.
Yes, Jody.
Yeah, I don't know about PBS, but I know that on Paramount Plus you actually have to turn it on for each individual show, which is a real pain in the neck. But if it's available, it's there under the subtitles tab.
The subtitles, audio and subtitles. Yeah. All right, Tim, go searching. Good luck to you.
This is John.
Yes, John. Last point.
Oh, yes. So this may be a little cumbersome, but if you find the iOS PBS app accessible, then what you could do, having an iPhone and Apple TV, you can also AirPlay from your iPhone to your Apple TV. It may not be ideal, but it may make the user interface experience a little more manageable if it works there.
Good point. Okay. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, John. Thanks, Jody. Who's got a new topic for us?
This is Sri.
Yes, Sri.
So I just want to answer the crossfade question on the music.
Yes.
So you go to settings.
This is for Mark in Montreal, by the way. Mark, pay attention.
You go to settings and then go to the apps from the bottom and open up the music, and then swipe right till you hear crossfade. It's an on-off toggle. If it's on, you can determine how many seconds you want the crossfade to be turned on. And if you turn it off, I think it should prevent from doing that.
This is Pete, Sri. Mark said that he's played with that, the fade option, the fade out, and then the new one fades in, but they do cross, so you lose a little bit on the end of the first one and the beginning of the second one. You lose because they're merging like that. Can you set the crossfade to like 0 so they just touch and go sequentially and not cross over on the fades?
When I looked at the crossfades options, you can only go to 1 second. So have you tried to turn it off so it just kind of doesn't do the fade at all?
Mark, are you listening?
Yeah, I am. It doesn't do the fade at all, but then you get the dead air for 7 seconds, and that's what we're trying to eliminate.
Yeah, maybe try the crossfade and just minimize it as low as it'll go before it separates like that. So
we'll try that. I don't think it's. I think I tried that when it was first available, and it was like turning it off. But I'll try it again and see what happens.
Give it a shot. Thanks, Sri. Appreciate you coming.
I'll let you know.
That. All right, thank you, Mark. All right, who's got a fresh question for us?
Dawn from Houston.
Yeah, Dawn.
I want to ask a question about a text message. Okay, if you have a text message that's, I guess, automated, it likes give you reminders or whatever. How do you go into that text message to stop it from keep appearing?
All right. So it comes to you as a notification, kind of like where if you're doing something else. Yeah. And is it coming from a particular? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's coming from a place, and then it says press 1 to reply, press such and such to cancel, press 4, text 4 to stop. And then when I go into the text message, I don't see where those options are.
Okay. Notifications coming in, but by the time you get to it, it's not in your actual messages app. All right. Who's got any thoughts for Dawn on this one? Dealing with notifications. Dawn, I know when it's a notification, it depending on the settings in your notifications, and you can go to your settings app, flick down to notifications, and you can set different parameters, different features in the notification settings. Some of them will allow that to remain at the top of your screen, and then you can just kind of touch at the top and you'll hear that notification again, and you can flick up and it will dismiss the notification. Of course, it's going away anyway, and because that'll make it go away. But I don't know what to tell you, and I'm still opening it for anyone else who has a thought, to where to find it in the Messages app, in your actual text list. Any other thoughts on that? The notification is disappearing for Dawn, and she'd like to go in there and do something with it.
Well, no, it's not disappearing. It keeps
popping
on
up.
Appearing. Yeah, it keeps popping up, and it says press 1 to confirm, press 2 to cancel, press 3 to stop, or and
It's
I don't.
Marie.
And go ahead, Marie.
Yeah, is this one you want to get rid of? You don't want to respond to it?
I want to respond and tell it to stop.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you don't want to respond to either one. I think it's a spam. So when you go into your messages list, you need to swipe up twice till it says delete and delete that message. It won't pop back up, and you won't be activating something you don't want.
Oh, okay.
I think that's a spam. So I would just get rid of it, delete it.
Okay, thanks.
Don't respond to either one of those.
Okay, thanks.
No, she just wants to delete it.
She just want to ignore it and delete it?
Yes.
This is John.
All right. Go, John.
I have a follow-up question to this. So in the United States, how do you report it? Because in Canada, I can report it to my provider by texting it to 7726, which spells out spam, and then I get a message, thanks for reporting spam. We'll take it from here.
This is Marty.
Just a point of action here. Marty, let's try not to interrupt people before that. Yep. That's all right, but I know you wanted to get your point in. Go ahead, Marty.
So when you delete a message, a text, John, there's delete, or there's delete and report junk.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know whether it reports it to your carrier. Just select that option.
Good point, Marty. I think it says they will report it to your carrier and to Apple.
Yes.
I don't know what, if anything, they do with those, but there is that option, John. You can flick up, and when you get to the delete, there are two alternatives. One is just to delete it, and the other has the additional actions attached. Okay, good point, John. Thank you, Marty. Appreciate that. All right, we're moving on. Who's got a new question? Totally new. I have a follow-up from our Saturday Apple workshop. One of the questions raised, and I forget who raised it, but we were talking about the rotor. The question came up, sometimes when you're on your rotor and you switch to maybe an editing mode, so you're in your words, characters, perhaps paragraphs, when you're editing or selecting text, and then all of a sudden, it will default back to your actions rotor. Maybe when you flick to a new screen or into a new app, it will automatically default and bounce back into your actions rotor. Somebody asked if there is a way to lock the rotor so it does not flip back into the actions rotor. And the answer was unavailable to us at the time, but I did find an answer. And if you give me one moment, please, I can read this on my notes here. Okay, to lock it into the position where you had it, like words, characters, paragraphs. The answer is yes. To keep your rotor from defaulting back to the actions, you go to Settings, Accessibility, VoiceOver, and to your rotor, and there is an item there where you get to choose the item labeled Change Rotor with Items and set it to the off position. So there's an item in the rotor settings in your accessibility settings, Change Rotor with Actions, and you set it to the off position. That will lock it wherever you last left it. So it doesn't pop back into that actions rotor, and then you got to go turning your rotor again. Is that making sense? Anybody have any further questions on that? That came up on Saturday. All right, I have an answer to another question that came up. Yeah, Marty, go ahead.
Yeah, just remind people. I know when we talked about that on an iBUG form, remind people that, especially in email, if you say you set it to characters, you have to go and set it back, or when you swipe up to delete or whatever you want to do, it will not take that action. It will just move up a character.
Good. It stays in that character or words setting, whatever you've got it in. So if you do want to take advantage of the actions rotor, then you'd have to flick back. You turn your rotor back to the actions, right? And then you can delete it with your one finger swipe up or down. Thank you, Marty. Appreciate that. All right, who's got a fresh question? We've got a few minutes left till the top of the hour. All right, I'll fill a little time here. Ed did have a question on Saturday. Ed, I'm talking about you. Better wake up. He wanted to know the precise dimensions of the new iPhone 16e. Am I correct there, Ed? And
yes,
we kept telling Ed it's a diagonal 6.1 inches. And Ed did not like that answer. He's a demanding kind,
I wanted to know.
He wanted to know how wide it is and how tall it is. And actually, to reiterate, Ed, iPhone sizes are typically stated in their diagonal length. 6.1 is the diagonal distance of the iPhone 16e. But the precise dimensions are, and I've got them in inches. Are you okay with inches, Ed?
Well, I can convert.
You'd rather have millimeters, wouldn't you?
No, it doesn't matter.
All right. Well, I've got both, just in case.
No.
All right. Inches, the length from top to bottom, 5.85 inches. No, I'm sorry, 5.81 inches tall, 2.82 inches wide, and that comes to a 6.1 diagonal from corner to corner. Now, here come the millimeters, Ed.
This adds another question.
146.8 millimeters tall and 74 millimeters wide. All right. You have
This
a question?
is Ed.
Yes,
this is
sir.
Ed. Sorry, that's what I was trying to say, but I was trying to listen to you at the same time. When you said 5.85 inches, why is it that the fraction of the inch is in decimals and not in sixteenths or 32nds or 64ths? That's sort of half metric and half standard.
Well, it's a difference. It's the two-party faction, the fraction or the decimal. That's an age-old battle, and I cannot win the battle or lose it here tonight. Anyway, Thank you, Ed. Okay. We have still a couple of minutes before the top of the hour. Any final questions? Plenty of time.
This is Ned.
Yes, Ned.
Yes, yesterday afternoon I picked my phone up and it said you have a missed call. And I never heard my phone ring. And so I'm wondering if anybody else has had that issue. So,
Ed, what model phone do you have?
I have an SE, third generation SE 2022.
Now, Ed, I believe, are you familiar with the mute and unmute
No,
switch?
this is Ned. This is Ned.
I'm sorry. I was just completely occupied with Ed.
Oh,
what a bummer. Kidding there, Ed. Ned, what type are you familiar with the mute and the unmute button on the top?
Well,
left?
are you talking about the ring? Are you talking about the ring?
The ring.
My ring. Yeah, my ring mode was on. Yeah.
All right. Then anybody have any other thoughts as to why Ned did not hear his phone ring when his ringer was in fact on? Did you have Do Not Disturb on by any chance?
No.
This is Joe.
Go, Joe.
I'm sorry I don't have any other thoughts. I would just like to say I've been having problems with some notifications and stuff not coming through as well. So this is Desi.
Yes, Desi.
It occurred to me to wonder if Ned has his silence unknown callers turned on, because sometimes when I have that turned on, I have found that I had missed calls that I didn't realize came in. So that might be something to check.
And that's iOS sends it straight to your messages, straight to your message. Yeah. Is that a possibility, Ned?
This is Ned. No, because it's a friend. I mean, this is a friend that I have.
Yeah, it could be accidental. I think Desi may be thinking that you may have inadvertently triggered that. It would be in your settings and go down to the apps button, the bottom button on the settings screen, and go then tap on that and go all the way down to your phone app and see if anything is amiss down in the phone settings.
This is Joe.
Yes, Joe.
I have had focuses not turned off.
Focus, Do Not Disturb, you mean?
Yeah, there are various
focus.
focuses. I have various focuses. I got games, Do Not Disturb, that type of thing. And I have them set to turn on. Not the Do Not Disturb, but some of the others are set to turn on with certain apps, and they don't always turn off.
So he may be inadvertently sending somebody into a silent mode without knowing.
Yeah.
Who else has an answer for Ned?
This is Sri.
Yes, Sri.
I was just going to say, is it possible you might have had the ringer volume all the way down?
Another thought?
That could be. It could have been.
Yeah. Yeah. If you were doing something else with those volume switches, maybe powering off, restarting your phone, sometimes that will require the use of the up or down volume button. Perhaps when you're trying to adjust the audio volume while listening to something, maybe you inadvertently got it down to a volume that's too low for the ringer to be heard. Good point, Sri. Thank you very much. Thank you, Joe.
This is Jody.
Mark in Montreal.
Let's go with Jody and then Mark. Go ahead, Jody.
Yeah, I was going to say, sometimes if somebody lets it ring once or half a ring and then they hang up, that it never rings on your phone, but it shows up as a missed call. So it's not necessarily, your fault or your phone's fault. Or sometimes if the cell signal is temporarily blocked, it will still show up as a missed call, even if even if if there's an interruption in the signal. So it's not necessarily your phone's fault.
Yeah. Thank you, Jody. Mark, go real quick.
I don't remember what the hell I was going to say.
All right, Ned, you've got some ideas. Jake, if you go real quick, we can squeeze you in. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Yes, I just wanted to say this has happened to me, and what it is, it's the cell phone networks that get overloaded, and it skips the ring, and then it puts that you missed a call, but it won't ring your telephone.
Yeah, it ticks your ticker, but not your phone ringer. Thank you, Jake.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Ned, you've got some things to think about there and maybe check a setting or two. With that, we're going to conclude our Q&A for the first hour. Thank you all for being so participative. I appreciate your enthusiasm. Right now, for those of you who did not get a chance to say hi and tell us where you're calling from, let's go around the horn. Who'd like to say hi and tell us where you're calling from?
Jake from Michigan.
Hello, Jake. Welcome.
Thank you.
Marty from Bensalem, PA.
Marty, welcome.
This is Desi in Franklin, Tennessee.
Welcome, Desi.
Hershey. Greg in Texas.
Greg in Texas. Hershey. Welcome, buddy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Brian from Ontario.
Brian from Ontario.
Paul San Antonio.
Who was that?
Paul San Antonio.
Hey.
Vermont.
Sarah from Vermont. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Amanda in California.
Hey, Amanda, welcome in.
Hi, thanks.
You got in right under the wire. All right. With that, I'm going to open up the door and see if our iBUG guy is out there to share with us some movie clues. As I referred to earlier, every Friday night, we have the iBUG virtual night at the movies where we play a top-notch film with the audio track only, plus an audio description track, no video. The movie starts at 8 p.m. Central Time, followed by a discussion and comments from the group, movie trivia. The pre-movie activities start at 7:15, which are a world of fun. We have Sandhya and Michael sharing music clips with a Name That Tune format, Argle Bargle, and we have jokes to be told. So with the clues for the identity of the movie coming up this Friday, we have none other than our iBUG guy. Are you there? Roberta Flack. Rest in peace, Roberta. What a talent.
Yes, yes, yes. To the late, great Roberta Flack. Yes. Awesome talent. And we are ready to do some clues. But first, if you recall, I recently came back from Provo, Utah a couple of weeks ago. And on my flight back, there happened to be a priest that was sitting next to me on the plane, also known as an air fryer. Can we mute him? Am I muted?
Like that one.
No, you're asking for
Really bad. But it was so bad it was good. I liked it.
All right, all right. Here we go. We're going to now jump right into. Okay. So we've got some clues for you to try to figure out what the movie's going to be. Man, people have been on the ball. I think somebody got it last week in the first clue. Our rules. Who was that last week?
Amanda.
Oh, Amanda, I think Ned got it last week.
Oh, was it Ned?
Right. Anybody that's guessed it
Yes,
in
it
the
was Ned.
last, yeah, in the
Oh.
last, so Ned's not eligible this week. Amanda's not eligible. If you've guessed in the
She was
last
the week before.
3 weeks, then you're not eligible. We're going to give out 5 clues total if we get that far, and you get 1 guess per clue. And you must, just like in the regular program, say your name, wait to be acknowledged, then you may try to guess the title. We only need the title of the film. Film. Okay, here we go with clue number. Our film this week takes place in the great United States, more specifically, mostly in the eastern U.S. It narrows it down. All right. I don't hear anybody jumping on this one right away.
This is Brooke.
Oh, Brooks is going to take a stab. Go ahead, Brooks.
1776.
1776 was a very good year. Not for the British, but for the U.S. And guess what makes you on this week? But good try. And anybody else want to take a stab at it? All right, nothing to lose except your dignity. All right, here we go with clue number 2. Filming was delayed due to 2 things. First, COVID-19 pandemic and the Russian invasion of Ukraine delayed the filming of our film, the filming of our movie this week. This may be interesting. Okay, nobody's guessing. We are moving to clue number 3. The film explores post-war trauma, faith, and the immigrant experience in America. Coming to America. Ooh, I think that's the name of a movie.
Name of a song.
Move along.
Anybody got any ideas? Just take a while and guess. Explores post-war trauma, faith, and the immigrant experience in America. All right, we got to move on to clue number 4. Ooh, this is a long one. All right, let's see. The director of photography used, Brad's not here, I don't think. He's probably the only one who knows this. 35 millimeter VistaVision film to bring authenticity to our story. And this marked the first time a U.S. film was shot in this format since 1961. Wow, that's over 65 years ago. Shot in 35 millimeter VistaVision film. Oh man, I think we got them stumped here tonight, Pete. All right. Moving on to our 5th and final clue. Oh, this might give it away. Hey, somebody stuck in an easy one. The film faced controversy for using that dreaded AI technology to adjust the actors' accents to Hungarian in Hungarian dialogue. Sorry. So they used AI technology to adjust the actors' accents in Hungarian dialogues. Sneaky little things there. Oh my goodness. Well, I guess we are just going to have to tell you what the film's going to be this week.
Hold on. I bet Ned knows.
No, hang on. Well, you guys know we've been showing the last couple of weeks leading up to next Sunday night's Academy Awards. And this is another one of those Best Picture nominees. So that's just a side hint. What? No? Wait.
Mr. McCullough.
Oh, I've been handed a bonus clue. Look at this. A bonus clue. This will surely give it away. All right. Get your fingers on your... Well, you're already unmuted, so you don't have to unmute yourself. Just get ready to say your name. The film's title refers to the architectural style symbolizing misunderstood art forms, also known as brutalism. The architecture style called brutalism. Wow.
Ned.
Hang on, Ned.
I know I'm not supposed to guess, but
we're going to see if anybody else happens to know. And Ned won't get the prize, but we're going to let him tell you what it is.
The Brutalist.
The Brutalist. Yes. Is our film this week. It is a 10 Oscar-nominated film, including Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Cinematography, Best every kind of category you can, main category, Best Director, all of those good things. I think it actually won some Best Picture of Golden Globe.
Cool.
And a number of others. I think Best Actor at Golden Globe, too. So, great film. You must take a nap before you come because it's one of those epic films that lasts for 3 hours and 20 minutes. So no intermission will be had. You are on your own to go pee-pee whenever you want.
Mr. McCullough. Come on.
You can't take him anywhere.
Come on.
So, come join us. Adrian Brody is the lead actor. And what's his co-star?
Go on. Keep going.
That's all I had.
You're done. Okay, good. Okay, he's done.
What do you mean I'm done? Oh, yeah. I'm done.
Yeah, I know you're done. Okay, bye.
All right.
All right, we are going to thank you, Mr. McCullough. That was quite entertaining, and the crowd went wild, as you can tell. Okay, be sure to be there, because that is going to be an awesome movie. And then we can hopefully say, oh, we saw that movie. Okay, here we go.
Alrighty, it's time for the iBUG Bite, and tonight's topic is one that we have spoken about at least once on the Buzz before, so I figured I'd do a quick review of the settings for increasing or decreasing the speech rate for SIRI on your iOS device. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and play it now. Hi, folks. The subject of tonight's iBUG Byte will be SIRI speech rate. We talked a little bit about this a couple of weeks ago in our iBUG Buzz, so I thought I would take a few minutes to talk about where to find our SIRI settings and how to adjust our SIRI speech rate. So, since we're talking about settings, where will we go? Of course, to our Settings app.
Settings, one new item.
Here we are, one finger double tap.
Pete Lane, Apple account, iCloud Plus, and more.
There are two basic destinations to which we will be going. The first will be Apple Intelligence and Siri, so I'll flick right down to that first.
Apple Intelligence and Siri, button.
We'll take a quick look in here, single finger double tap.
Beta.
There are quite a few items in here, but remember our topic tonight is related to the Siri voice rate. So I wanted to touch on the language item here under Apple Intelligence and Siri. So let's flick to language.
Language, English, United States, button.
As you hear, United States is selected. Let's do a one finger double tap just to see what other countries are covered.
Chinese, Mandarin, Taiwan, Danish, Dutch, Belgium.
There are a couple of dozen countries included, so I'll just do my four-finger single tap toward the bottom of the screen. It goes all the way down to
Turkish.
Turkish. I'll go back to the top of the screen using my four-finger single tap toward the top of the screen.
Back button. Language.
We'll back out of our language settings, and now we'll check out our voices.
Talk and type. Allow Siri. Voice. American. Voice 5. Button.
One finger double tap.
Select Siri. Maps turn-by-turn guidance. And listen to page in Safari will use this voice.
Our opening salvo from VoiceOver tells us we'll hear this voice with turn-by-turn instructions in the Maps app and with the Listen to Page feature in Safari. Continue flicking to the right.
Variations. Heading. Selected. American.
And here we have 6 more choices to make. Flicking to the right.
Australian. British. Indian. Irish. South African.
Next, we have choices for our available Siri voices. There are 5.
Voices. Heading. Voice 1. Voice 2. Voice 3. Voice 4. Selected. Voice 5.
I've selected Voice 5. You can tap on these and get a sample. Here's Voice 5.
The colors of the sky fade with the setting sun as the stars begin to shine through the clear night.
That's all of the settings that I wanted to cover under Apple Intelligence and Siri. Now we'll move on to our accessibility settings, which is exactly where we'll find the settings to control the Siri speech rate. I'll just back out of this screen.
Back button. Apple Intelligence and Siri.
Now I'll just flick left a few times to get up to accessibility.
Action button. Accessibility button.
One finger double tap.
Accessibility. Heading. Personalize iPhone in ways that work best for you with accessibility features for vision, mobility, hearing, speech, and cognition.
The first item that we encounter in the accessibility settings is VoiceOver, which is where we go frequently. But in this case, we will go straight down to the bottom of the accessibility settings screen. I'll do a 4-finger single tap to get there.
Per app settings button.
That bottom element read per app settings in case you didn't catch it. Now all we need to do is flick back to the left twice to get to our Siri settings. One finger flick to the left.
Accessibility. Siri button.
One finger double tap.
Siri pause time heading. Default. Longer. Selected. Speaking rate. Heading.
And here we are. Speaking rate. That's a heading. Flicking to the right one more time.
Speaking rate. 150%. Adjustable.
And here is our slider with which we can adjust our rate. This slider goes all the way down to as slow as 80% and all the way up to 200%. I'm going to demonstrate 3 different rates so you can get an idea of the range. I'll start by flicking down with one finger from where I am now at 150% down to 100%.
100, 110%, 100%.
Let's show you how this rate sounds. What's the weather?
Looks like it will be partly cloudy today. Daytime temperatures will hover around 56 degrees with overnight lows around 40.
That's 100% speech rate. Next, I'll go all the way up to 200%.
100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 190%, 200%.
What's the weather?
Looks like it will be partly cloudy today. Daytime temperatures will hover around 56 degrees with overnight lows around 40.
Quite a bit faster. Now let's bring it back down to 150%.
100, 100, 100, 100, 150%.
What's the weather?
Looks like it will be partly cloudy today. Daytime temperatures will hover around 56 degrees with overnight lows around 40.
That one was certainly slower than the 200%. You can play with this and be your own judge. What rate is comfortable for you when interacting with Siri? I hope this helped. Thanks for listening. And now let's open it up for questions. All righty. That's the bite for tonight. Who has questions about your Siri speech rate?
Hey, Pete, this is Marty.
Hey, Marty.
So I noticed you went into Apple Intelligence. Now I have a 15 standard, so I don't have Apple Intelligence. Would I still be able to get to this setting?
That's a good question, but and I don't know the answer, Marty, to be honest with you. The only thing that you have the choice of, or that you can look at in the Apple Intelligence and Siri settings, which there's another Siri setting under the main settings screen. Try that. But the only thing I was able to look at in there was the language, and there were a couple of dozen different countries for languages. Within the language, you could select like a dialect for Australia or US English, that kind of a thing. And that's all you could really affect in the Siri settings there. The money settings is over under accessibility, where you can affect your speech rate. That's where you can also adjust your Siri response time, which gives you either the standard response time for it to listen and respond to your question, or you can extend it to a little bit longer. But that's really where you can adjust the speech rate if you're looking to do that.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
So I believe there was also a Siri setting under the general settings screen. So I would look in there, Marty, and see what applies. Good question. Who else? Question on the demo. Siri speech rate. Anybody want to speed up Siri? Well, with that, I see a hand raised, Raheel. I don't know if you're not able to come off mute. Let's go to our general open questions, any topic whatsoever. We've got a few minutes before our iToys segment coming up at the bottom of the hour. Who's had a question on any topic?
This is Terry with a follow-up from the first hour.
Go, Terry.
I forget who it was now, who was asking about, maybe it was Liz, who was asking about how to stop a message from speaking when you want to respond to it, but then you don't want to have it continue.
Right. I believe that was Dawn. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
that's okay.
Dawn from Houston. Yes. I received, for example, this Wednesday, I'm going to be going to an appointment, and I've received 2 separate messages, one yesterday and one today, from the ocularist that I will be seeing, reminding me that I have an appointment at 10 o'clock. And there's a place in there that says press whatever to reply, or press some other button, number 2 to cancel, or press number 3 to reschedule, and press 4 to opt out from further notifications. Mm-hmm. And what it's wanting you to do, they don't give you buttons to press, but the message is asking you to press one of those characters, 1, 2, 3, or 4, depending upon what it is you want that message indicator to do in the future, or how you want to respond to that specific message, because they're automated. And so they usually don't have places for you to write out text. So they give you simple instructions, simple numbers or letters, so that you can let the automated message know your wishes. So it's not always a spam message, and it's not giving you a button to press on. It's actually wanting you to physically type in a specific character depending upon how it is that you want to reply to that message.
Okay. In a reply message.
Yes.
In an actual text reply. I see.
In an actual text reply, yes.
I do know that when you reply stop, that's how I do it. So you're saying the same with whatever options they're offering.
Yes.
So Dawn, if you're still with us, then I guess taking Terry's answer one more step, then you would hit reply. You would reply to the message. You would flick down several times until you hit reply, double tap in the text field, and then type in whatever number option was given to you for however you wanted to respond. If you wanted to reply stop, you would type in the numeral 4 from your on-screen keyboard, or you would reply STOP if that's the option that it gave you.
Correct.
Thank you, Terry. Good point. And I think that you hit the nail right on the head. Dawn, did that help a little bit if you're still there? Okay, well, we'll move on. Thank you very much, Terry. Good follow-up. All right, back to anyone else who's got a question. Go, Raheel.
So the iBUG byte, was that the speeding up SIRI and all that? What was the byte on, by the way? I missed some of it, and I wasn't able to unmute. I don't know why I said the host wasn't allowing anybody to unmute.
Raheel, listen to the recording when it goes up on YouTube or on the website, because the byte will be included in the recording of tonight's program. So you can find out what it's about then and listen to all the good news. Who else has a question? Thank you, Raheel. Anyone else? Yeah, Greg.
Yeah, I received an email today from a club that I belong to, and just flicking right and going into the message area, it said you're receiving this because you belong to this club. And then if I flicked right again, it was taking me down to the delete move. So I couldn't find any text for the message. So I did a touch and explore and got that you're getting this because you're a member of this club. So I turned screen recognition on and did a touch and explore, and it read, apparently it was, I don't know that it was a graphic, but it was some kind of, some type of graphic thing. But it was interesting. I don't think I've ever done that before, where I turned screen recognition on and then did a touch and explore and was able to read the text in again, I don't know if it was a graphic. My wife said it looked like some kind of graphic, but it's real interesting.
Did it? So it actually read text back?
Yeah, it read everything that was in the read everything that was in the graphic. And on other occasions, sometimes when you touch and explore and just hold your finger there, it'll read the text. But it would not do that. But when I turned screen recognition on and did a touch and explore. So I don't know. I've never used that before, but just kind of a heads up to,
cool.
You might want to try that.
And you keep the text recognition in your rotor, apparently.
Yeah, I don't like to, but yeah.
Or you might try what Herbie suggested on Saturday's workshop, and that's to put it in your quick settings.
Right. And that's where I typically have it. But
good.
Yeah.
All right. Good point.
All right.
Don't abandon the text recognition feature.
Recognition.
Good advice, Greg. Thank you very much. All right. We've got a couple of minutes before our iToys segment. Who's got a question for us?
This is Paul.
Go, Paul.
Yeah, a quick question relating to the Zoom app. I'm on my iPhone. Had to leave a while ago to take a call, and wasn't disconnected or it didn't shut down the Zoom app, but I was trying to figure out how to get back to the call, and I was not finding anything. I swiped multiple different directions and all, and it didn't find an option that actually let me get back, so I had to hang up and call back in. Is there any way to
what did VoiceOver tell you?
It read off like calendar, a couple things like that, multiple things, whiteboard, other options for sharing, and that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it apparently flipped to another Zoom screen, and sometimes if you find the right element, and I don't know what it is, if you tap on it, it will return you to your main screen with your regular buttons, the mute, unmute.
This is Marty.
Marty, what do you got?
So what I do is if I have any kind of problem like that is I close Zoom, and actually I close all of my apps but email. Because that's how I come into the meeting. Go into the email, click on the link, and then it just opens everything back up again and brings you in.
I think that's probably what Paul did.
That's what I did.
Closed it out and came back in from scratch. Yeah, I don't know what you can tap on that alternative interface, that screen that you're on, Paul. You might play with it and see what comes up, but otherwise, yeah, I'd probably have done the same thing too. Go back to, close it out. Probably have to close out Safari while you're doing it and then come back in from your initial link.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the bottom of the hour. It is the fourth Monday, an auspicious occasion, because with us tonight we have Mr. Herbie Allen, who will present for us our iToys segment. Herbie, you ready to roll?
I am ready to go, and thank you for that welcome, auspicious. All right. Well, you know what, guys? I'm going to talk about the phone that's probably on everybody's mind. I don't know if this got talked about earlier or not, because unfortunately I was late. So if it is, then this might be a review, and if not, well, then you get to hear about it for the first time, and that would be the brand spanking new iPhone 16e that Apple announced this last Wednesday. Now, I do not have one, nor do I intend to get one, so my descriptions are going to be based upon the what I've read. But basically, the dimensions are similar to the standard iPhone 14. So it's about a 6.5 OLED display. Sonia probably will not get one either because it does have a notch at the top. And that is the part, where the phone, like the phone earpiece and whatnot. And that's significant because the iPhone 16 Pro, it does have a notch, but it's very, very tiny. So this one is probably a little bit more noticeable since it mentions the knot. Two big differences. One, no longer a home button. And two, it now uses Face ID instead of Touch ID. So that is how that works. What does the E stand for? We don't know. Some people think it's now just an E because it's a permanent addition. But last I checked, we don't have an official word on what the E stands for. And there's no longer an SE, though there is rumored to be an iPhone 17 Air. But going back to what the phone has, it has a 48 megapixel back-facing camera, and I believe it's a 12 megapixel front-facing camera, which is about the equivalent to the iPhone 15. So, but it's just a single lens camera, which is still not too bad. It is now USB-C compatible, so no longer the Lightning connector, but USB-C. It has wireless charging, but it does not support the MagSafe charging, so that is a significant. Wireless charging is the slowest option, of course, but you do get that. It also has an action button instead of the side switch. So if you've not seen this yet, at the top where you have your mute and unmute button, it is now replaced with a switch, rather that you would just toggle. Now it's the button that you would hold down and press to trigger whatever action you specify for it, which can be a number of things from mute and unmute to voice memos and the camera, things like that. But the camera itself in the back, which I do find intriguing about this phone, is because it's single lensed, is more flush with the phone, giving it a more flatter design. So I thought that was a little bit intriguing, and one thing myself. What else? I mentioned the fact that it has Face ID and all that. Oh, two other things. It does support the Apple Intelligence. You may not be missing much with the fact that it does have Apple Intelligence, and if you don't have a phone with it, then I would say that's probably not a reason to get the new phone, but if it's something you want to play with, then you do have that option. I understand it might be a little bit more limited, but I'm not completely sure on that. And also, Apple is testing out its new 5G modem on the phones to find out how it works. Now, these are not super fast modems, so I don't know. You probably won't notice much significance unless you're like watching a lot of videos or whatever. I don't completely. I won't go into the whole technical specs. You can read up on that. But Apple is testing out its modem to determine how well they perform before we're launching them to the mainstream phones. By classing it as a 16E, it's not an SE, it's just a basic phone for whatever that is worth, and I believe the starting price is around $499. So it's a little bit higher priced than the older SEs, but it is still a lower price than your average iPhone, which starts
Actually, I
at
think
about
it's $599.
$599. Okay,
yeah,
you could be
higher
right.
Than even that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you could be right. But it's a higher price. It's still a lower price than the traditional iPhone. Not by much though. But what can I say? Prices are going up, and our money is not. So at least that's my experience. That's enough of my political commentary or financial advice, whatever it is. Let's go on to the questions, comments, and I'm also curious to know if anybody is planning on getting this phone.
Herbie, it's Marty.
I had a feeling I'd hear from you first.
So I think, did you say 6.5? Because I think it's a 6.1 screen, and I think Ed has the dimensions. But my other question is, what are the memory options? Like, does it start with 128?
Good question. Well, first of all, if anybody notices a difference between 6.5 and 6.1, good for you. It's a smaller phone. That's what matters, all right? Fits in your pocket.
Right. Yeah.
But I believe the memory does start at 128, which is one reason why it is a higher price. I think they're finally doing away with the 64 gig phones. But, yeah, I do believe...
I think you're right. Starts at 128. I think you're right.
Herbie, this is Marty.
Yep.
Is there just like a learn more option, or was there like a little podcast or little event to announce this phone, or is it just you go on the website and click on the learn more?
I don't recall. Apple did not do a significant event, and I definitely did not come across one. If anybody else did, let us know.
No,
This is Joe.
It was a news release.
Yeah. All right, Joe. What do we know? What do you know?
I've seen some videos on it. Zolotech had some specs on it, and a couple others. And I also learned that it doesn't support precision finding, so that would be a deal breaker for me.
Yes, indeed. Okay, precision finding means that more accuracy with your AirTags, which, by the way, Apple's supposed to be releasing a newer model of the AirTags later this year, so that's going to be pretty cool. All right. So good to know those little details. All right.
Marty, I would just go to YouTube and search for 16E, and you'll have a dozen of them.
Yep. Sorry, I'm trying to mute. I can't find the mute button. Okay, go.
I think this is Marty.
Yes, Marty.
I think Pete, I got an email like you do from Apple announcing it, and there was a learn more option. So I might click on that.
Sure.
Thanks.
Definitely.
Yep.
All right. Who
This is
else?
Sri.
Yes, Sri.
The more I think about it, I'm not exactly sure this is really a phone that is on the cheap side, because you're really getting very close to getting the regular 16, which you're going to get the other features that you didn't get.
Yep.
And so I'm scratching my head when it comes to saying that this is the Apple's inexpensive phone, because I really don't think it's an inexpensive.
Well, it's definitely cheaper than the others. Let's put it. I think that's at least fair to say.
Yeah, what's a 16 start at? $799 maybe?
It's $200 more.
Yeah. So it's still a cheaper phone, though. I mean, $599 is not inexpensive. I definitely agree with you on that. And it's interesting what Apple's trying to do is I think they're trying to give you a little bit more bang for your buck, but still kind of keep it basic. And
This is Jake.
Well, yes, Jake.
I was going to say, I have a comment that basically because I'm in the iOS ecosystem and the way that they've been doing the phones every year for the value, it wouldn't pay for me to even get this kind of a phone because every year I get $650 off of my phone, and it's the same amount every year. It's $650 because I pay $1,299. So there's no point. You know what I mean? There's really no point for this phone, I don't think.
Well, yeah. Well, if you got $605, if you did get that, wouldn't that pay for the 16E?
Yeah, I guess you could say that, but then the next time you wouldn't get as much money, you'd actually lose value.
Yeah, you would. So something to consider more if you want a low quality phone that's gonna maybe last you a while and that you're not gonna just quickly replace. Which these, it's been a couple years since Apple came out with the SE3. What was it, like 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
This is Deb.
Yes, Deb.
So one thing that is interesting about that this phone is with that new modem that they've released, at least if it holds true to what it says, it's supposed to work more efficiently with the processor, the 18 processor, giving you a longer battery life than the 16 has. I don't know if you've seen that, but they're projecting the battery life will be 26 hours of video streaming.
That'll definitely be impressive.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that is yet to be determined, I suppose, but that's
definitely
what they're saying.
Some of these things, again, the only thing I'm just going to say on that is we have to, I hope that proves to be the case, and that could definitely be some interesting factors. For instance, like, are you traveling? That could probably be a factor too, and like the actual signal strength. But if you can get 26 hours of video streaming on 5G, that is very good, definitely.
This is free.
Yes.
They did test this on, I think, 185 different countries, so the reliability might be there. I'm just, I don't know if I want to be the guinea pig for it right away. I probably want to see.
Well, we're counting on you, Shri.
Yeah,
like
who else would we?
I definitely don't think this is really worth it, personally.
Well, we were counting on you, but okay, if you want to let us down, that's okay. I forgive you.
This is Greg.
Yes, Greg. Will you be a guinea pig?
Yeah, one other, no, I don't want to be a guinea pig. One other thing to consider, though, I'm not sure I would buy a phone that just had 128 gig memory. Things are taking more and more memory, so I think I'd do 256 minimum.
I regretted it when I got a 12 with 128 gigs, so yeah, I definitely would, but I've been doing fine with the 256 gigs.
I've got a 128 16 Pro, and I've had no trouble so far. Of course, it's only 6 months old, so
depends what you
use. Time to build up some videos and audio stuff.
Right. Well, because I do a lot of high quality recordings, and especially back in my school days. So, and why the precision finding matters, by the way, folks, I'll give you a scenario. So, as we know, Brad is Pete's dog groomer. So let's say that Brad is, Pete puts a dog AirTag on his collar, his dog's collar. Brad is grooming the dog. The dog decides he doesn't like Brad and runs away. Well, if the AirTag is just going to tell Pete, the general area that the dog is in, but if he has precision finding, then it's going to tell him the exact location of which fire hydrant the dog's at and all that type of stuff. Plus, it'll also tell him where Brad's at, too, assuming he puts an AirTag on Brad. So, that's why the precision finding can matter.
Just to explain the joke, Greg did a bite last week on setting up relationships in your contacts app, and I jokingly said, "Can I make Brad my dog groomer?" So, all a joke.
There's a Shri.
And but before we get to you, Shri, one other thing I want to mention is that with this phone, though, let's say that this is all happening in the middle of a hurricane and the cell service goes down. Well, now with his new iPhone 16e, he will have access to a satellite. So
there you go. Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Shri.
No, I was going to say that too. Is the satellite feature is a pretty good thing to have now, especially we hear about T-Mobile offering Starlink. This is a good step or a good starting step to this kind of technology.
So just to real quickly explain what the satellite lets you do is it's an SOS feature if you have no cell signal, and it'll also let you text if you have no signal. I have not actually tried this yet. Because the one time I tried the satellite thing, I was indoors and it was like, oh, can't see the satellite. So I was like, oh. This is in Washington State, and I did not want to get out in the freezing cold just to see if I could find the satellite. So
This is Jake. I have a comment.
Yes, Jake.
Speaking of satellite technology, I heard today that Verizon Wireless, they're working with Space Mobile, and they were able to make their first video call over satellite.
You gotta love where technology is going, guys. I mean, this is interesting. Maybe 10 years from now, there will be satellites and no more cell. Who knows?
This is Marty.
Yes, Marty.
You're talking about satellite feature. I'm sure I know the answer to this question, but so that you get that if you don't have a cell service or a cell signal, correct? So suppose you put your phone in airplane mode. Would that activate the satellite feature?
No, because that blocks all signals. So that would.
So that was wishful thinking.
Yeah. Now you could turn off, like, say, cell data, and I wonder then if you could get the satellite or not. That I don't know. But go ahead, Shri.
I was also going to say, I think the front and the back are also different from the regular phones. I think they're less quality or less strength.
Yeah, it's aluminum.
I'm talking about the glass in the back and the glass in the front.
Okay, that I didn't. I mean, I just read on the overall details, but there's a lot of specifics that have come out. So you could be right. I know it probably. I mean, it is lower quality. Yes.
This is Marty with another quick question.
Real quick, Marty.
The back of the phone. You say the camera is more. How many cameras does it have on the back?
Just one.
Oh,
one on the back and one on the front.
48
megapixels, though. Yeah. So it's a better camera than the SE3, but not
not a better camera than, say, like the 15 or 16, isn't it?
It compares it to the 15, actually.
Oh, okay.
To the basic, not the 15 Pro, just the regular 15.
Okay.
But
this is Terry.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that if you turn on airplane mode, you can still send text messages between iPhones. And so I think the same would apply for the 16E.
I'd have to really research if the satellite works. And yes, you can use Wi-Fi while in airplane mode. So I'd have to research that to know for sure, one way or the other, if you can use the satellite function while in airplane mode, because that is a different type of signal than like your Wi-Fi. I don't know. I'd have to research it to know for sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Herbie. Great presentation. Interesting to hear if anyone is going to purchase this. Keep us posted down the road if you choose to do so. A new product from Apple. Thank you, Herbie. Appreciate that. And with that, let's go and move back to our general questions and answers. We've got plenty of time left till the top of the hour, at which point, remember, we will be shifting to our iBUG AfterBuzz, and tonight's host, I believe, will be Terry. Am I correct, Terry? You're on tonight? Second and fourth Mondays?
That's correct.
AfterBuzz. So any questions? We've got about 10, 11 minutes beforehand. Who's got a question for us on any topic?
Linda.
Yes, Linda.
When searching in SIRI for a YouTube, Is there any way for me to know, it'll pop up all these different YouTubes. Is there any way for me to know if it's a reel? Because they don't talk to you and they're useless to me.
Yeah, there's not a lot of accessibility with the reels. I don't know unless it says there's a reel. When I go to YouTube, I go to the app itself and I tap on a video. So I see the title and I will see if it's a video or I will see if it's a reel. If it's a reel, it's in a reels kind of a category or section. So I don't know if Siri would distinguish that. Anybody try asking Siri for a YouTube video and wonder if a reel is presenting itself versus a regular video? I don't know. Linda, maybe give it a try, and you can always close that reel, although sometimes even that's a pain in the neck, right?
Yeah, I'll just
go all the way to the
YouTube.
bottom. Yeah,
I would from there.
Yeah, it's pretty easy, and you can do your search at the top in the search field and get your subject, and then they line them up pretty quickly. They even have a search history section there where you can narrow down your search. Flick to the right twice after you're out of your text field, and it will give you a search history suggestion. And then you flip into the body, and it will line up all of the videos that fit that particular definition. It's a pretty easy and user-friendly interface.
Great,
Good luck.
Thank you.
Sure. Questions? Who's got a question?
Rosetta Stone.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Rosetta Stone.
Hello, Rosetta Stone. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. My question is, has anyone ever told Siri to make send money through Apple Pay and it works? Does it?
I don't use Apple Pay. Who has tried that through Siri?
Maybe it doesn't work.
I would be surprised, to be honest, Rosetta.
Yeah.
I have to laugh. You started off your question by saying, has anybody ever told Siri, and then I was going to bleep you out.
This is Jake.
Yeah, Jake, go ahead.
I have done it, but there's a downside to it. You have to have money on your cash account, on your cash card, and so you have to kind of plan for it if you're going to do it, as opposed to it being in your bank account, and using other means for transfer. But Siri does work, but you have to make sure that you have money in your cash account.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did that help, Rosetta?
Yes, it did. Thank you, Jake.
Yeah,
thank you,
you,
Pete.
Jake. Appreciate that. Good job. All right. Other questions? We've got plenty of time. Who was that?
Robert.
Hello, Robert. What you got? You're first and last tonight, huh?
I want to follow up on that last one. That sounds intriguing. By cash account, she meant Apple Cash. The person that you're sending to has to be in your contacts list if you're using Siri.
We'll go back to Jake on that. Jake had the answer. What do you got, Jake?
Yeah, and they also have to be an iOS. They have to be an iOS user, an iMessage user, and you have to have the contact in Siri.
It can't be an Android user?
No, it cannot.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Limited audience, but still would probably save some time. Pretty cool.
But I will say, to be honest with you, I don't use it.
Mm-hmm.
I use to transfer. I use my bank. It's just easier because I have more money there. So.
Mm-hmm.
But it can be
you
done.
Worried at all about security of using Siri? You think security is lax in using Siri?
No.
No?
No, I think it's encrypted, right?
Yeah. Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
All right. Good input. Thank you, Jake. We're moving on. Who's got a fresh question for us? The sky is the limit.
Deb.
Go, Deb.
So this isn't a question, but it's a follow-up to an Apple Watch question last week about people and their battery not being able to charge all the way. Just a suggestion. So I looked at mine, and on the watch itself, if you go to settings and then go to battery, and then way down at the bottom, right above where it says low power mode, there's a thing that says battery health. And if you tap on that, then you'll find the switch. It's a toggle switch that says, just like on our phones, optimize battery charging. And if that's toggled off, it should charge all the way to 100%.
Okay.
Not promising, just it should. Mine does.
This is Marty.
Go, Marty.
It does that on the Watch 9 and lower, like 8 and 7. On the Watch 10, that is dimmed, and then the next tab is charging limit, and you can turn that off. But it says after you view that, it says that even if your charging limit is turned off, it will still learn your usage and stop at 80%. And what I can say about that is what I've noticed. If I charge my watch like 9, 10 in the evening, it will fully charge. If I charge it, say at 11 or 11:30, it will go to 80%. And then in the morning, like after 7, it will finish out and go to 100. And I think the way Apple has set that in that Watch 10, there is no way around that. It's just how it is.
The pause, you mean?
Yes,
until the last
pause.
hour. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, theoretically, that's the way optimization works on the phone as well. So it's supposed to save, I guess, some
but
of the...
you can turn it off on the phone, but you can't. The optimization charge that Debbie is talking about, when the Watch 10 is dimmed, you cannot toggle that on or off.
Okay. We've got 3 or 4 minutes. Who's got another question? We've got plenty of time.
This is John.
Yes, John.
So my apologies for the irony, but every Monday I use my Google speaker, my Google speaker, to ask, I say Apple News, and it reads me the Apple News. And one of the items that it mentioned, it was saying that, just as ChatGPT is integrated with Apple Intelligence, they're saying something about integrating other, like third-party ones like Google Gemini. Have you guys heard about that?
I saw an article that they were planning to integrate with other, and that was mentioned, yes. Interesting. Gives us more options. That will integrate with Apple Intelligence and Siri as well, right, John?
This is John.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's my guess.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like. So more and more to look forward to. Well, okay. Thank you, John. Any quick questions before we start our exit
Raheel?
strategy? Yeah, Raheel.
So tomorrow I'm returning my NLS e-reader, and I'm worried about that when I get my new one, though, that I'm not going to be able to forget the old device. Will I still have to forget the old device in my Bluetooth settings before connecting the new one?
NLS readers about forgetting an old device when Raheel gets his new one. Jody, any experience with getting a new device?
This is Herbie.
You're an NLS. Yes, go, Herbie.
I mean, I don't know about from the reader aspect, but from the phone, you definitely can. Just go to the
Bluetooth,
and but yeah, maybe Jody has an answer from the device aspect.
Yeah, this is Jody.
Yeah, Jody.
Yeah, I think you definitely would have to unpair it from your phone
with the Bluetooth settings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just go into settings and then go to Bluetooth, Raheel, and go to find the your previous device, and then just go to forget this device. Should be pretty straightforward.
And I have to flick down to more info?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just flick down and forget that this device is not in that screen. Then if you go to more info, then double tap and you'll see forget device at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's standard for pretty any Bluetooth device, by the way. That's not specific.
Thank you, Herbie.
Device.
You got it. Thank you, Raheel. And with that, real quick, Marty.
I was going to say, in Bluetooth and more info, I noticed it has device type, and they give you options like car, stereo. Does it make a difference if you click on, say, headphones? Or because often it's nothing selected.
Anybody got a quick answer to that one? Does it matter if the device specification is not clicked on? Give it a shot, Marty. Let us know next week. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you again. Great participation tonight. We are going to migrate over to the AfterBuzz, but a quick rundown once again on the week's activities. Tomorrow night at 5, from 5 to 6 Central, is our iBUG mini buzz. You can ask those questions about all your hardware that connects with your iOS devices, including your Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses, virtual assistants, HomeKit devices around the house, things along those lines. Later tomorrow night from 7 until 9 is our Mac and Talk program. Any questions about getting a Mac, problems using your Mac, anything related to your Mac. It's a great session, so come on in and either share your expertise or tap it because it's there. On Thursday night, it's iBug's Life. We didn't start the fire, but we will go through some fire prevention tips and tricks for blind and visually impaired individuals. That's Thursday from 7 until 9. And then our iBug movie this coming week is The Brutalizer. Pre-movie activities begin at 7:15. We've got music, name that tune. We've got jokes and a lot of fun. Have a great time there. Movie starts at 8 o'clock Central. After the movie, we will go through a general discussion, and following the discussion will be our iBug movie trivia Friday night. So get your nap in. As Michael said, it's a 3-hour and 20-minute movie.
This is Sandhya.
Yes, Sandhya.
iBug got plugged.
Saturday night from 7 until 9. Good stuff. All right, I'm going to let you go. Julie, if you would switch us off to stop the recording, and I'll hand it over to Terry.